So once upon a time, Hawaii had two newspapers, the morning paper, the Honolulu Advertiser, and the afternoon paper, the Star-Bulletin. Growing up in Hawaii, we didn't have a subscription, so the only chance I had to read the newspaper was in school. Hey miss, can sample the paper? Now when the two newspapers merged into today's Honolulu Star Advertiser, I wondered if there'd be another newspaper to enter the market in Hawaii, seeing as there really isn't much day-to-day news. Then emerged the Honolulu Civil Beat in 2010. An online newspaper primarily focusing on political news and investigative journalism. And over the years, I followed Civil Beat, including when they eventually dropped the paywall and they redesigned their website again and again and again. Nah, just joking, it looks good. I really don't know how popular or successful Civil Beat is in Hawaii, considering that people are so attached to the Honolulu Star Advertiser and the other news outlets. But I, for one, am glad that Civil Beat exists, especially in a state that is often apathetic towards political news. So I want to talk about some of the reasons why I like Civil Beat, as well as some of the things that I wish they would do, because I think that they're important to Hawaii. And please let me know if you read Civil Beat in the comments below. Now I admit this is kind of a weird angle to film, but we're gonna go for it. Now, things that I like about Civil Beat. The most unique thing about Civil Beat is the depth that they go into with their articles, particularly some of these issues that it seems like nobody else is really covering. But what do you expect, right? If you look at TV, especially local TV news, you might get 30 to 45 seconds on maybe like 3 stories for that day. Then it cuts to commercials about roofing and AC contractors. And then we get teased with the weather with these complicated Doppler maps and these wind charts. And they really could just tell us, is it gonna rain the next 3 days? And then of course it ends with local sports. But Civil Beat's approach seems to be a little bit different. They produce not as many stories per day, maybe 3 to 5, but they're quite long and in depth. The titles are just enticing enough for me to click on, and the photos are the best compared to any other media source in Hawaii. I'm not sure what they're using, but it's gotta be at least a 2.8 aperture lens, right? I mean, those backgrounds are blurry. And I may not agree with everything that the writers say or the slant that they sometimes have, but I do appreciate their effort and their work. And all of it is free. There's no paywall, except maybe the occasional pop-up for a donation. Okay, gotta sit now. It's getting kind of weird. I also appreciate Civil Beat's focus on the political candidates, especially when it comes to election year. I don't think there's any other news source that reaches out to all of them to get their input, just so we, the public, can get to know where their positions are in one place where we can just read them all. I'm not sure why other news sources don't do that. Maybe it's a staffing issue, resources, or maybe it's political, but I really appreciate that as a member of the public because I don't want to have to click on everyone's website. I just want it all right there. I also like the editorials and the opinion pieces, very diverse group of writers that they have. Again, I don't always agree or even read all of them, but I do appreciate just the wide net that they provide. And you also get to know these writers because they promote the person rather than just the article. Like, their picture is right there. The picture is big and it leads the article, and then you have the title. So they're more than just the byline. And of course, the comment section, absolutely amazing. Now, it's not as toxic as other places or other social media websites, but it is pretty good. And if you keep up with the comments, you kind of get to know certain people from their usernames, what they think, their common misspellings, their general attitudes about certain things. And it's fun. It's fun to lurk and it's fun to read and just watch it. And no, I've never left a comment. Overall, I just really appreciate Civil Beat's effort. Just having them as an alternative, just having them as an option, I think is good for us as a public. As a public? As the public. Because in a world that often gets its news stories from scrolling or swiping, it's nice that there's a place that goes a little bit more in depth. Now, just some comments on things I'd like to see from Civil Beat. Not criticisms, but more just like feedback. The first thing is that there seems to be a lot going on with Civil Beat. Like, if you look at their homepage, there's so many projects and different things to click on. It can kind of be overwhelming. It'd be nice if it was a little simpler or at least reorganized. There's so many tabs and buttons and graphics. It's a little much. And the second thing is, I wish they would do more video content. I know, they focus on the writing, and the writing is definitely there. But I wish that they would do more video content. A while back, they had this wonderful video where they went around Waikiki and they interviewed tourists on whether they knew the definition of malama. And I love that interview style video. I thought it was wonderful. Since then, they did a couple more videos like that. But they haven't done anymore. And I'm wondering, where are those things? I wish I could do those things on this YouTube channel. Walk around talking with local people, asking them about whatever. And I think it's really good because it humanizes the public. It makes us connect with these people because that's us, right? That's who we are, generally speaking. So I wish they would go back and continue that. I know it's shame. I know it's embarrassing and you have that feeling of rejection. I mean, I'm here and I'm filming in front of people. It's in a room, but still I'm filming in front of people. So I know that there's some shame with going out there, but it was so good. And I think if they just keep it up, it would catch on because it's such a wonderful idea. And the last thing, they seem to have access to a lot of the politicians. And so I wish that they would help us get to know them, not just during the election season, not just when they're campaigning, but once they're elected throughout their term. You know, interview them, talk story with them, help us get to know them as people because they represent who we are. And I know that they have wonderful stories that would be really interesting for us to get to hear. And so during this election season, I just wanted to highlight the efforts done by Civil Beat. Again, I don't always agree with what the writers say, but I do appreciate that they're there, that they exist. They give us an option. Sometimes it feels like people in Hawaii don't really care about civics or politics or what's going on in government. That they rather talk about the best dim sum or the new store that opened up at the mall. And that's maybe partially true. Maybe people do care more about those types of things. But there are people who do care about what's going on in their government. And so I think it's important to remember that. If you haven't checked out Civil Beat, I highly recommend you check them out online. Thanks for watching and aloha.